द वे फॉरवर्ड इज ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹੋਸਟ ਹਰਜੋਤ ਸਿੰਘ। ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਮੁਲਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੋਕਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਦੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲੋਕਲ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਰੂਬਰੂ ਕਰਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ। ਅੱਜ ਜਿਨ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਉਹ ਹਨ ਰਿਬੇਕਾ ਸੈਨਨ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਸਫਕ ਕਾਉਂਟੀ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ 16 ਸਫਕ ਕਾਉਂਟੀ ਲੈਜਿਸਲੇਚਰ ਦੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਹੈਗੇ। ਰਿਬੇਕਾ, ਯੂ ਵੈਰੀ ਵੈਰੀ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਸ਼ੋ।
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Rebecca, thanks for taking out time from this busy times of yours. I understand the campaign is in full out action now. You are a popular figure in Suffolk County, but I would like you to take this opportunity to introduce yourself to the South Asian community, who are, most of the viewers of this show.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to connect here. And so my name is Rebecca Sannon. I am running for legislator in the 16th district. I am currently the CEO of a nonprofit organization where for the last 6.5 years, I have worked at building capacity of our small business nonprofit organizations. I've worked on health equity, making sure that folks are connected to the best healthcare. I've addressed a lot of work in poverty and hunger, making sure that we are taking care of our neighbors so that everybody can live their best lives and so that we can lift up the Long Island region. And I'm excited today to be running for legislature because I believe that there's an opportunity now to make a real impact in people's lives, to make sure that we have clean water, to make sure we're protecting our environment, to make sure we're getting back to civility and talking to each other again and listening to one another again, and that we're advancing important issues like affordability and public safety.
You know, uh, Rebecca, all those issues that you mentioned here, these are the issues we all are worried about. We'll talk at length about different issues, but I'll go straight to something which concerns us people on the island
Yeah.
very very strongly and very very immediately. That's our water. Can
Yes.
you tell us what's the state of protection of water, in particular in the Suffolk County?
I think our water is such an important issue, and I'm so glad that you're talking about that today because we live above our sole aquifer here on Long Island. And so if we are not protecting our water, we are really creating a public health crisis and a public safety crisis. And a big part of what motivated me to run in this election was what I watched just happen in the Suffolk County Legislature, where there was an opportunity to vote to put a referendum on the ballot to essentially have the voters endorse the opportunity to provide clean water, to build systems, septic systems, and sewer systems, and to do the work that is necessary to address our nitrogen crisis, to address the reason why our beaches are closed so frequently, to address the issues around our public health associated with water. And that vote 2 times got hijacked by politics. And I think that is really disappointing and damaging to our future for not only ourselves, but for our children and grandchildren and future generations. And so, right now, what we really need to do is recognize that clean water and environmental protection is a priority. We live in a world, I was about to say a country, but in a world where we are getting hotter every day. Climate change is a real issue, and our globe is getting hotter. And what that means for us is that there are many more disasters than they used to be. Natural disasters are a lot more threatening to an island than they are sometimes to other regions because we don't have multiple pathways on and off of our island if there's a crisis. And so when there are disasters, there are also additional threats to things like clean water, to the resiliency of our shores, to the resiliency of our region. And we need to make sure we're prioritizing environmental protection in the Suffolk County Legislature so that our families can enjoy a sustainable future here. And it's an absolute priority of mine and something I will start tackling on day one.
Hmm. Rebecca, everyone is concerned about environment and all the issues involved, but there's something which is immediate. We are seeing growing levels of nitrogen in our water around Suffolk, and we hear that there were definite steps taken planned to be taken, which were approved by Albany, and we got some federal funding. And that referendum that was planned, it was not tabled, or it was not allowed to be, put on vote this November. Is there any truth to that? Can you please share what's happening there?
Yes, that's what I was just talking about. So the we had an opportunity to put on the ballot this referendum, which for a
Hmm.
very, very small percent of increase in the sales tax would allow us to have the infrastructure that we need to protect our water. And to your point, Harjat, and it's a very good point, it would also allow us to make use of federal and state dollars, right? To draw down more dollars to the region to fight nitrogen. Sort of our water quality enemy number one is nitrogen, and to harness a better future and really be able to leverage those dollars to make sure that we are doing the kinds of clean infrastructure investments that are absolutely necessary when you live above your sole aquifer, your sole water source.
Mhm. Absolutely. I'm sure you have a track record, with efficiency at getting results. I believe you worked with Steve Ballone's administration as well. Is it right?
Yes, for 5.5 years, I worked under the Bologna administration. I started in the Bologna administration leading constituent affairs right at the time that Superstorm Sandy hit. And then I ended up taking a lead role in the Superstorm Sandy recovery efforts on Long Island, at which point I was promoted to an assistant deputy county executive, where I worked on the performance management team, which is all about working with all the departments in the county and looking at opportunities for efficiency, looking at opportunities for productivity, looking at creating environments of continuous improvement so that our taxpayers and our public are getting the very best from our county government. And I learned a lot in that process about what works really well in Suffolk County government and what needs improvement. And I look forward to bringing what I learned when I worked in county government, which was from 2012 to 2017. And then what I've learned as CEO of a nonprofit organization working with the county as a partner, I look forward to bringing those lessons to the legislature and being able to really advocate and lift up the opportunities to cut waste, to improve efficiencies, and most importantly, to make sure government is working on behalf of the people it serves.
Rebecca, you know this community so well, and you have served the community so well. What do you think are the main issues confronting the district this election season?
Thank you for your kind words. I would say there are four issues that I hear the most about at the doors, and I am knocking doors. So the first is civility, quite frankly. There's a real sense of frustration with the fact that the water quality opportunity was hijacked by partisan politics, and I think it is also happening all across the country, and people are tired of seeing their government officials not work together, not listen to each other. And I have a long track record of working across the aisle and getting people to listen to each other and work effectively together. And that's important to me. A second is the environment, and that is the clean water issue is resonating very powerfully with voters who are really concerned about their future and the safety of this public health crisis. We know we have high cancer rates here on Long Island, and we also know that when our environment is toxic, that there's a correlation. And so I hear a lot of concern about that. I hear a lot of concern about affordability. Lots of families are talking about how their young adults, their children who are growing up, are leaving Long Island, or going to North Carolina, or going to other states like Florida because it's more affordable, and they don't want to see their families broken up. They want to see the ability for young people to stay here and start their lives here. And I also hear about affordability from our seniors who in many cases bought houses 40, 50 years ago, but they can't maintain them anymore. And they want to be able to downsize into something that is more appropriate for them, but there isn't a housing stock that supports that. And so affordability is, I think, the third issue I'm hearing about at the door. And then public safety. And public safety is very interesting. I hear a lot of different things around public safety, certainly street safety. It's something I'm hearing a lot about. Folks are concerned about the rising use of ATVs and the rising street racing, sort of drag racing, happening on many of the streets across Huntington and also the Brentwood part of this district. But also the mental health crisis and the addiction crisis and what's happening with that. The fact that so many of our neighbors are aware of the fact that we need a better infrastructure and better services for folks so that they can be productive and can be healthy and can live their best lives and contribute safely in society. COVID 19, prior to COVID 19, the opioid epidemic was largely improved on Long Island, but COVID 19 took place, and the opioid epidemic is now really not in a good place and much more like it was prior to the pandemic. And so we're seeing the impact of that on our streets. We're seeing the impact of that even with homelessness on Long Island. And so we really need to think about, when we think about public safety, there's the law enforcement side of public safety, but there's also another side, which is about making sure our society is healthy so that it can be productive and so that people can contribute and live good lives.
Mhm. Rebecca, you talked about affordability and you talked about youngsters moving out of the island. You know, there is a huge division of opinion which we see on the island right now. And if you may, get the hint, I'm talking about these zoning variances that we see. And some people come up with the argument that that might reduce taxes for other people and make houses affordable. And some people object. They say that that would basically change the whole character of the area. Where do you stand on this issue?
So zoning is a local issue, and I think
Mhm.
it's a local issue. So it's something that happens at the town level, and I'm running for the county legislature, so it's a little bit different. But look, I think we have to be creative, and I think most important when we talk about housing is that we work hand in hand with community. What happens
Hmm.
so often is that people feel like they've been railroaded, that somebody comes in and wants to develop some new housing or some new opportunity. And if the community doesn't feel like they're part of it from the beginning, then a lot of times that ends up creating the resistance and concerns and the issues. I think we got to get back to talking to each other in this country and certainly in Suffolk County. And I think that's how we get things done. We can have economic progress, and we can
Hmm.
also make sure we're preserving quality of life and preserving our environment and our land as well.
Rebecca, water is a huge issue for all of us. Another very big issue is safety. We are seeing challenges all over the country actually, but a lot of people feel not very safe in New York. We don't know how much truth is there and how much is a hype, but people do feel unsafe at times. Do you have anything to say on this?
And I think safety is a huge issue, and it's something that we have to tackle. Number one, gun violence is the number one risk for children. It's the number one cause of death, and we have to address the plethora of guns that are on our streets and that are causing dangers to our children and to families and to all folks who live here. And that has to be something that we prioritize. Another issue that affects safety is hate. I recently did some work with the commissioner of the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services in New York State. And what I learned is that it's not cyber attacks that make us most vulnerable or natural disasters that make us most vulnerable, but these weaponized supremacy groups. And so we have to do everything that we can to stop hate, right? And promote kindness and promote respect, promote civility and expectations that we value one another as people. And I think that is another issue that we have to tackle, and that the legislature, in their platform, can certainly at least set an example for. The mental health and addiction crisis, as I said before, is also an issue that impacts people's safety. Certainly, the people dealing with the illness or the addiction themselves, most importantly, but sometimes community as well. And we have to create the right infrastructure to support people, and we really have to make sure that we're listening and paying attention to community. We're in a time in this country and in this region where there's lots of data and there's lots of digital tools. We need to be innovative and figure out ways to promote safety, keep people safe, and create a healthier and safer society. That's what we all want. That's what everybody wants, is a place and to live where they feel that they can walk down the street and be safe, where they can go out at night and be safe, and they can recreate and enjoy their lives. And certainly, I want that for the residents in my district, and I want that for all Long Islanders.
Rebecca, a couple of years back, there was a hate crime committed against a member of the South Asian community, and we appreciate your support at that time. We vividly remember. Uh, Rebecca, we all talk about small business. All these issues, they sound like boilerplate, but with your experience, we are very hopeful that you have ideas to improve the infrastructure for small business on the island, particularly in Suffolk County. Can you tell us if you have any plans on that?
Sure. So I think there's a bunch of different things when we talk about small businesses. So as a CEO of a nonprofit organization right now, we're an umbrella organization, which means we work with a couple hundred nonprofit small businesses. And a big part of what we do is capacity building. So making sure that nonprofit small businesses have what they need to be successful, whether it's connecting to additional funding streams, whether it's various kinds of specialized training, whether it's learning about other models nationally that are successful. These are all things that are part of making sure small businesses are successful. I think it's really important that we work with our small business community on continuity planning and sustainability. Certainly, the pandemic taught us that. Certainly, Superstorm Sandy taught us that. And I don't want there to be another cyber attack or another crisis for our small businesses to have that kind of continuity planning and strategy. We also have a workforce crisis here in Suffolk County. There's a workforce shortage, particularly in certain industries, and we need to figure out ways to get excited and make positions exciting again. Make sure that we are training up folks so that they have access to pipelines, workforce pipelines, so that they can be successful and climb the ladder in their own careers. And we really need to be creative in making sure we're looking at the strategies in which we engage workers, from benefits, to working conditions, to so many other things. And I enjoy such partnership with my friends in labor, in unions, in a lot of that work. And I think there's a lot more that can be done. And I think we have to be really clear to our region that we want folks who go through our schools and get the great education we provide on Long Island to stay here, to be employed here, and to contribute here. And we have to create incentives and be creative in how we do that.
All these things that you have laid down, very essential for all of that would be affordable housing, which, you yourself pointed out, people are moving out because they can't afford. Are there any plans to bring our taxes down or make housing affordable? Any plans, anything in the pipeline?
Yeah, so there's a lot of challenges, right, that we have on Long Island, but affordable housing is definitely one of the biggest ones. It's something that in my nonprofit I hear about almost more than any other issue, quite frankly, as a crisis that is facing so many people at so many different times in their lives. And so, but I think we have to work hand in hand with community when we talk about building affordable housing and when we talk about creating affordability and opportunities. I think that when it comes to taxes, there's certain things that need to start to happen on Long Island. And a big part of that is asking the question, what is the role of government? And from my perspective, it's public safety, public health, and social services. We need to make sure that that is where we are focusing our effort and our energy, and that we are cutting out waste, right? That we're looking for efficiency, that we're looking for where we are spending money that we don't need to spend money, where we can benefit from pooled services. There's a lot of things that we can do to reduce our costs here in the region, but it requires hard work, and it requires collaboration and a willingness to think differently about how we function. We're so siloed on Long Island. So we have 2 counties, 13 towns, 95 incorporated villages, I believe, 125 school districts, all separate taxing entities, right, with different levels of administration and oversight. And we need to start thinking about how do we work together to create a better future that is more affordable for all people, while we address some of the more pertinent crises that we face today.
Mhm. Rebecca, unions have played a huge role historically in developing this community on the whole island. In the present circumstances where we are seeing support coming from the highest office on the land, do you see a more robust role for unions in the development of Suffolk County?
Absolutely. And I'm very proud that I enjoy the support of our unions in this election. I'm endorsed by the Long Island Federation of Labor, by LIUNA, the laborers, by 1199 SCIU, and others. And that's very important to me because our friends in labor need to be partners at the table. And we need to be looking at apprenticeship opportunities. And we need to be looking at opportunities to help folks, particularly in marginalized communities, to plug into opportunities to build careers, not just go to college, because while that's a really wonderful pathway for many people, it's not the right pathway for every person. And so looking at what those opportunities are and making sure we're connecting people to the opportunity to make money and earn a living and live a good life. Our unions are absolutely vital to that, and they're also vital to protecting workers' rights, which continues to be an issue in this country and something that we need to preserve and protect.
Mhm. Rebecca, our viewers are very excited, I'm sure, to hear all that you have said here today. Um, can you break down for our viewers where exactly is District 16? Can you tell us what towns are included and where exactly it is?
Yes, it's a little it's so in 2022 with redistricting it changed a little bit. So it is Huntington Station and South Huntington, parts of Elwood, East Northport, Dix Hills, and West Hills, and then it is also north part of North Brentwood and a little bit of Central Islip. And so the two townships involved are Islip and Huntington. Most of the district is in Huntington, but it also goes into Islip as well. And I have to say, I am just loving the opportunity to meet residents from across every corner of this district. And every single day that I'm knocking doors, I fall more and more in love with the community that I've chosen to live in because it is a very special place with really engaged, wonderful folks who just want to be able to live lives where they are contributing, where they are happy, where they have safe, clean water and the ability to have a great education for their children and be successful and live good lives. And I believe that is the right of all folks, and we need to do everything we can to make it happen.
Rebecca, we are running out of time. At the end, I would like you to put in your own words, why do you think you are the best candidate for this office that you're seeking?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to do that. I am the best candidate for the office that I'm seeking for to be legislator in District 16 for a plethora of different reasons, but particularly because I will restore your faith in government. I will make sure that we get back to a place where we are being civil and listening and talking to each other and making progress on behalf of the good residents of Legislative District 16, including issues like the environment, which is an absolute priority to me, making sure that this district is the best place for our children to grow up, that we are looking at laws and we are looking at resolutions with a child lens and understanding the impact on families, that we are looking at affordability and public safety and prioritizing the issues that are most important to the voters. And most importantly, you will always have a passionate public servant in me. My whole career has been in public service. I have a long record of getting things done for people, and I'm really excited to do it as your legislator.
Rebecca, I wish you all the very best for your campaign ahead. Thank you so much for taking all the time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak with your viewers. It's been a joy.
Thank you। AC ਸਾਡਾ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੇਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ The Way Forward।